Hello, I'm Richard Raffan. This is going to be the fifth of the Four Ways videos. And Four Ways is four of us. There's Mike Peace, Sam Angelo and Tomislav Tomašić and myself are each going to make the same thing on the at the beginning of each month. We'll make it a bit earlier and we'll put it up on the first of each month. This month we're going to make a bowl with some decoration on the outside, embellishment I think was the word, which was Sam's suggestion, Sam's project. Now I've got this lump of very green casuarina. I've had it sitting in a plastic bag since I cut the blank, must be nearly a month ago now. It's dripping wet, so it hasn't dried out much and doesn't appear to have split at all, which is very good news. So I'll be making that, and you should watch the other three videos so you get an idea of how we can each approach what in theory seems to be the same project, and the links are all in the introduction up at the top of the video here. So here you are with the blank, which is 26, which I think is 10 inches or thereabouts, nearer 10.5 by 3.5, which is around 90 centimeters, millimeters rather. So I need a hole in the middle, which is somewhere there's a hole from the compass point, and I made the circle. Have the lathe running around, I don't know, 150, something like that, and let the lathe do the work. Pop the spindle and just cinch it up, doesn't need much. And then this is wet casuarina, which tends to have tannin in it, so your hand gets black, so I'm going to use a glove. Just keep some of the black off. Wind it up until the lathe start rattling and then back a fraction. Right, this is a 9/16 gouge, which I think is about 16 millimeters. And the main idea is to get the bark off first. This wood tree, or the tree from which this wood came, was growing about 5 weeks ago. So it's very wet, and my aim is to make just an open flowing bowl with some grooves on, and I'll be using this grooving tool for that. And then I know it's going to warp, and therefore I'll be drying it in the microwave oven and putting it on 3 little feet so that it'll always sit firm once it has warped. Just using just to the left of the nose of the tool. Just see how that's coming up. It's got a little bit of kind of staining in it, which sporting, which I suspect comes from being in the plastic for 3 or 4 weeks. All the bark's gone, that's good. So I'll just true up this. I need to know how much I've got to play with, so I always true up everything I don't want. So like a smooth surface on the rim, smooth rim, so that comes off now. Now it's tempting to save the inside here, but I'll just let you see the whole of a hollowing instead. Now move the camera. Still using the left wing. And I need to set the diameter for the chuck, which is going to be some large jaws. That would be about right. So in fact I can eyeball it. I don't need to be too precise about that. Just make sure it's large enough, or it's bigger than the diameter of the chuck. So that's from there. All this is going to be carved towards the end, so I need to know where the feet will be. Somewhere around there. In fact, that's where they will be now. And I'm going to need to have to mount the thing between centers to complete, so that will just mark the center, bring the tail center up, and that's fine. Now I can start to shape the bowl. Now remember, a lot of this is going to go away because I'm going to continue this curve up to that line. So I just need this to be able to go into the chuck, and that will bottom out in the chuck, and after that I just need a nice flowing curve here. I can dispense with the glove, which would be nice. Like most of my gouges, this is an asymmetric grind, so I've got a steep bevel on the right wing, which means I can get in, tool rolled over about 45 degrees. I can feel a slight chattering there. Put the speed up a bit. So I'm now running at 1300. Now I'm going to finish that off with the shear scraper. Just use flat on the rest to start with. Just stroking the surface and then tilt it up as I come around here for a slightly better cut. And I didn't get up to the rim of the gouge, so I've got to come up there and make sure I've got it smooth. Sounds all right. And I can see what's happening up on the upper horizon here. And this bowl was to have some decoration, so I have here it's an old scraper, 3/4 inch scraper, about 19 millimeters, and I've ground on a CBN wheel 3 little kind of grooves there, so I'm going to come in and just ease those into the wood. and around. And what I'm going to have, or aim to have, is 3 clumps of identical beads. I don't really mind that they're not exactly the same. Just eyeballing it. So that is my embellishment of the bowl. I don't know if I can. I don't really have space, I don't think, for another lot. I'll try it. If I haven't, that'll make for an interesting time a bit further on, so I'll try to get rid of it without affecting the others. Right, so that essentially is the outside done. I don't sand it at this stage, I do all that a bit later. So that comes off and gets turned round. Crucial thing here really is to have marked the centre, which on an earlier bowl I forgot. Oh, went the wrong way. That's the right way. So this is a 6-inch, sort of 6-inch dovetail jaws on a VM120 chuck, on the larger chuck. I think it's the only larger chuck I have now. Right, and this gets hollowed out. And before I drill the depth, drill the depth hole, I'm just going to get a little starting hole. Just makes it slightly easier when I want to get the drill in. And I can measure as I go, but I need to go just slightly more than that one. Now the whole thing has started, just gone slightly out of whack for some reason. So just need to check that there's no muck in behind. I can see what the problem is. I did not get this absolutely flat. Normally I would dish it very slightly, but the way I'm making these bowls now, so that's rocking around, not good. So it pays to put that back onto the screw chuck and just take out the bottom. I don't plan these little side trips, it's just as it happened. Right, so that needs to be very slightly concave. I'm going to do that with the skewed scraper, the shear scraper. Elementary mistake, if it's going into a chuck, it needs to be slightly concave, flat, slightly concave. So Well, that was a good little example of what can happen if you don't have the bottom dead flat or slightly concave. I haven't done that for a very long time. That should now be spinning true enough anyway. This tool was designed as an open tool. It's not really a deep fluted tool, it's half round. It was designed for doing the outsides of bowls. A slightly bigger version of a standard spindle gouge. But it's pretty good for hollowing as well. Tool handle tilted down probably about 5-10 degrees maybe. Now horizontal. Try and get the rest pretty well at right angles to the direction I'm going to go in, which is more or less straight here. Tools in on its side, get the bevel rubbing, then rotate anti-clockwise, and away we go. See how we're going. We are going just about right. I don't want this too thin. It's about 1/4 of an inch. Just check that. 7 millimeters, just over 1/4 of an inch. Right, and then across the bottom. And I'm going to do that with a big scraper. Basically what I want to do now is come off the corner, off the bend, and then across the bottom. So the tool's against my thumb, which acts as a fulcrum. The jaws are open just far enough that I can slip this into the middle of the chuck. Oh no, actually I can only go that far. I was forgetting it's not a very deep chuck. Right, I really don't want to go much thinner than that because I've got feet to do on the underneath. So that curve feels okay, and I'm going to just come in. Just kind of slide the tool across the bottom. I'm just going to check that anyway. I'll take it off the chuck, and it's a little bit tricky with when you're on your own with these tools, some of these tools, but anyway, that gets me right into the middle. And that's what I've got, which is barely enough. It is slightly concave, which is just as well. So it means the feet at least are slightly proud of the centre. Right, so feels like a good curve. It just needs sanding. Now this is very wet wood. It's at least 30% moisture, I would say. It would go off my meter, and so it needs drying, and I do that with my little hairdryer. It's about the only use I have for a hairdryer. That goes there, and I'll just rotate this very slowly. And we'll be in there for probably about 3 minutes. So that's dried off enough. It's still a little bit damp on the end grain. The long grain's pretty good. Now I can start sanding that, and I've started using a foam pad to back abrasive, and it seems to work very nicely. I don't know why I haven't been doing it for years. Anyway, better to discover it late than never. Or maybe I've just forgotten that I did used to do it. So 120 grit to start with. Plenty of pressure to build up a bit more heat. And short little one, I can feel the end grains picked up a bit there when I rub my fingers against it, and if it's there it will be the other side as well. So just go in reverse. A little bit kind of rugged there, a little bit down in there, but otherwise that feels pretty good. Have a go at the rim. And up on the top here, I'm going to do that without the pad. the rest of them need to steady my elbow, but feeling pretty stable there. And then coming down the other side, just rest on the back, on the headstock. I don't want to do the beads, just leave those as they are. I can't get in there easily, so I'll do that from the other side when I reverse it. Still a bit to go there. So I'll be messing around with this for a few minutes, and when that's done I'll turn it around and you'll see that. So change of chuck, so that this can go over the jaws. Just make sure that's running true, and this goes into here. We've already got the center because I rammed the tailstock into that earlier on. I'll just bring it out so I've got a bit more room to move. And that should true it up. Not quite. Don't know why that is. Other than the whole thing's moving very slightly, so if that's, see how it looks. Can probably cope with that because I've got a lot of sanding to do anyway. Now the feet are going to be around there. Now I'm not going to true any of that up because if it's wobbling around on the rim. All I need to do really is just take this away. This is the 1/2-inch spindle gouge. Some kind of peeling cut using the left wing. And I like a little bit of a curve there up onto the feet. It looks a bit kind of it's a bit harsh. Let me use the tool which came to hand. It's a scraper, slightly rounded as you can see, but I can get in onto that. I've tilted up on side and shear scrape with it almost to the bottom of the beads. It's a bit kind of undulating there, but that'll be alright. Do I want any more? No, I think that'll be alright. And now I can need to cut into the middle. I'll just take a little bit more out of that. I'm going to use the other shear scraper now, probably slightly sharper, right up on edge so I can get into the curve. The idea is to get a really nice cut there so I don't have too much to do later. There's a little bit of a kind of lump there, but I'll be able to cope with that sanding. And next is to cut into here where I can so before I do, what I forgot was to mark out the rim. So I get the radius, and then I want 1 foot in line with the pith, which is there. I'll do it down here this time. That goes into the middle. That'll be the line of my or the radius. Just reminds you where the feet are for the moment. There's another one there, which I'll mark with pencil rather than a great spike. And another one is going to be round over there somewhere, about there, and I'll just take that on round, see how we go with the, yeah, it's a little bit out, so I'll just take that one round to there. It's not too crucial. So that can now go back on the lathe. It'd be very nice to get rid of that lump. So if it goes on slightly truer than it did last time, we'll be very happy. It did not, but it's just slightly better. I'm just going to skim off that bit. Oh, it's a lot better, in fact, a lot better. Now, next thing is to cove out the bottom, and I can go in about 1/4 of an inch, because the bottom is 1/2 an inch thick. I checked it off camera. The steeper I can get that little bit, the less carving out there is. It'll be fine. So I keep that in place for the moment. Get rid of the rest. And so this is where I'm going to be carving in on that line. Yes, there is a mark there, and there should be one round here which I can't see. On that one, and just get the dividers again. Oh, there is the hint of a mark there. Now, unfortunately, I forgot to move the camera, so you only got a hint. I'm not sure if you even saw the cuts there. So what's happened is this is undercut from what was slightly undercut. I've taken away another kind of 1/4 of an inch of thickness. It's about 5-6 millimeters, and marked out the radius for the for where the feet are going to be. And the next job is to lock the spindle and then carve away the bit between the feet, and I do that with a flat wheel on an angle grinder. Let's get some ear protection on, and the dust. Now from there I go to jammy it on the lathe bed. Get this out of the way. So I have here bits of non-slip cloth, as you can see. The bowl, oh, it does actually almost fit that, that's good. That means I can tuck that up there. And the idea now really is to just push it in until it jams, which it will if I lock the tailstock down. Yep, that's good. So you never know what use you can put your lathe to, and And I go from there, and I can probably go from that coarse grit on the angle grinder to 240 grit, which is what I'm going to try. What I normally do. Need a fresh bit. Still 240 grit. Just keep it moving. That's the one, and I can take a bit more out of there. And if this doesn't do it, I can take it out with a coarser grit. Round to the next bit. Once you think you've got the feet done, just check that the bowl just sit on 3 feet and is clear underneath, and then it goes off to the microwave. So this is one of a series of bowls I've been doing. I've just been doing this one, which is slightly smaller, and that's been having batches of 3 minutes. So this will get 3.5, being slightly bigger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I want it to come out too hot to handle. Now you don't wander off when you're doing the microwaving. You want to make sure you hang around in case you got the time wrong. You don't want to have smoke or steam coming out of your bowl. You don't want it that hot. So almost ready to come out. And hopefully it'll be steaming. Yes. A couple of splits, that's very unfortunate. But at least the splits are with the medullary rays, so I know that from previous experience I could fill those, and once the bowl starts being used, you won't notice the splits. So that just dries off now. I'll just lean it up there. So here we are with the finished bowl. 5 days later, it's had a number of 3-minute sessions in the microwave. The little splits have been filled with a mix of 5-minute epoxy and African blackwood dust, and they're barely distinguishable now, and there's another one somewhere in here. Where is it? There. On the back it's not quite so good, but at least the timber, when you feel it, you can't feel where the filled split is. And I've left this bit unoiled at the moment so I can stick my care label on it.